So another big story that just hit, and it is Mr. Ryan Serhant in the news again. And so there's a couple things here to unpack. So there's actually two stories I want to talk about. The first one is, well, let me kind of go through the story, and then we'll kind of unpack this. So this has to do with Ryan Serhant and another CEO of a big luxury real estate brokerage firm kind of butting heads, twice in a very short amount of time. This story specifically, a report says Ryan Serhant, who's known for making some bold moves, this time has overstepped his boundaries. The article says that an unidentified salesperson of Serhant Ventures, which is the brokerage's educational branch, sent Brown Harris Stevens, who's the CEO of Bess Friedman, a pitch last week for a tailor-made training program for the brokerage's agents, which would include a sales playbook, performance coaching, social media bootcamp, and mentorship from Ryan Serhant himself. So the CEO responds to that and says, hey, let me just make sure that I'm clear on what you guys are offering. So she kind of responds back to the salesperson. The salesperson kind of is being a little, I think, vague. And then the CEO's like, I don't know. This doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know if they felt like it was a recruiting ploy, but she's like, no, we're out. And so that was the second thing that these people butted heads on. But it's interesting to see, were they up to something or were they not, right? And so if you were approached from that perspective, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think because they have past history, it might have been looked in a little bit more. Ryan uses a third-party service to sell his coaching. So it could have been a common, just outbound cold reach, and it reached the wrong person. And then it was looked into and it assumed that Ryan was kind of jabbing at her and saying that she needed coaching or her team needed coaching. Because I think what this is it's old school versus new school. She focuses on brand and just being around forever in the industry. And Ryan is all about marketing and kind of new age social media and pumping content out to help his agents build their own brand. So it could have been the third party reaching out and just getting the wrong person by mistake and this thing got blown up, or it could have been more. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I think you hit it, because the reason why I think this is even a story at all is because the week prior, these two were on stage at some real estate conference, and they got into this heated debate, right? And so the Real Deal put out an article about this where Brown Harris Stevens, who again is CEO of Bess Friedman, and Ryan were kind of bantering back and forth about what you just said, which is so her position is that the traditional brokerage model is better for the agent, and Ryan's position is, well, the real estate brokerage's brand is irrelevant in today's marketplace. It's all about the agent's personal brand. Because consumers, and this is what he said in the article, consumers do business with people, not companies, right? So I want to talk to you about that, because my opinion, this is where I do align with Ryan. I do align with him that the old traditional real estate brokerage firms that are still hanging on to this, their brand, right? It's not one per se, I'm just giving examples, but the Coldwell Bankers, the whatever name you want to use, and their value proposition to the agent, to you and I, is, hey, you're going to give us a healthy portion of your commission because this brand that is 150 years old will help you sell more real estate. To which I argue the exact opposite, that it no longer makes sense to give up a lot of your commission to a brokerage because of their name, because you're the one securing the business, and consumers are doing business with people, not with companies. Which side do you land on there?
Yeah, I think it's twofold, right? So you've got people just agents getting in assume that they need this big brand, right? And they think it's going to solve all their problems. But in reality, it's you, the agent, that has to do the work, right? And if you want to, and it gives you confidence to leverage this big brand when you're new, then great, right? Use that if you need it as just kind of a pick me up to get going. But I'm with you. I think it's all about the agent, especially in this day and age, when you have social media, when you can truly put yourself out there with free content, free ways to build, your opinions and what you're doing. Where before the broker would put that through billboards and commercials and all that stuff. So yeah, I just think if it gives you a little bit of confidence at first, do it. But do you need it? No.
Yeah, I think it's a perception. It's
Correct.
it's a perception that, to your point, once maybe had an impact on the consumer. It certainly still has relevancy to the real estate agent, because you're right. The agent says, I don't know, I just feel better if I'm with a Remax or a Keller Williams or a Century 21. But here's the thing is, if an agent is going to go meet with a potential seller at a listing appointment, and this agent knows the market, has confidence, has experience, knows what they're doing, can convey that and compel sellers to say, wow, this person really knows what they're doing, they can do all of that and the seller not know what company they are with, and their conversion, in my opinion, doesn't change. Because here's the thing, the exact opposite is true. If an agent goes into a listing presentation with, I don't know, just call it Coldwell Banker badge, right? One of the oldest brands in our industry, which that company would suggest that that brand has power, and they go in and they communicate like absolute doggy doo-doo, right? No confidence, don't know what they're talking about, don't know the market stats. I just don't believe that the badge has that much power where the consumer says, well, you're with a big brand. We know you don't know your head from a hole in the ground, but we'll go ahead and list it with you. I just don't believe in that. I think that the consumer says, I'm going to hire Bob. And many times I prove this. I have, for the longest time, to be fair, you're right in what you said, in that I just felt a sense of comfort as an agent working at a big brand. And I was nervous when we started our independent agency. I was nervous that, well, it's time to put this to the test. And if anything, it helped us secure more business because we worked on providing more value. Never, not once to this day, not even one time, because everything has an anomaly, but not in this case, not once have I ever had a client not do business with me because I was with a independent company and not a big name. Not one time has it ever happened. So much so, it's rare that people even ask me what company I'm with. What's been your experience with that, with serving the consumer?
Well, I think that when a consumer points to that and says, oh, hey, Ben, we decided to go with XYZ, Bob with Remax instead of you, oftentimes, I would say 100 out of 100, it's because that person did a better job of delivering perceived value to the consumer, and they happen to be at that brokerage. And that's just in the consumer's head what they hung their hat on, is that brand. And that's why Joe Bob knew what he was talking about, is because he's with Remax. However, we're all independent contractors. So there's going to be great agents at perceiving value or delivering value to people at big shops, and there's going to be bad ones, right? So I think the consumer often will tell you that's the reason, but it's not. It's because you didn't deliver a value proposition that was compelling enough.
So you think that the consumers are, so let me just make sure I heard that right. Are you suggesting that the consumer, there's no right or wrong, this is good conversation,
Yeah.
that the consumer hangs their hat on the person or the company that made them decide?
I think that they absolutely hang it on the person, but when the consumer tells the other agent why they went with the other person, they say, I went with so and so with Remax. The losing agent says, oh, he chose him because of Remax.
Yes, okay, that's what I thought you said, because I think when you said it
Backwards.
differently. Yeah, backwards. So that's what I thought you were saying, because I agree 100%. The losing agent says, oh, I lost to Remax. No, you didn't lose to Remax. You lost to Bob, who's a better agent, who has more confidence, who's a better salesperson, who gave more confidence to the seller that just happened to be at Remax.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so my position now is I am under the belief that these traditional brokerages need to change. And it's hard and I'd love to debate this with anybody who sees this differently, but I'll walk people through quickly the evolution of real estate brokerage. It's started off with the traditional brands, and Ben, you and I would go work at these brands, and to your point, that brokerage would bring us in all of our opportunities. So it made sense that we would split our commission 50-50. The brokerage would give you an office. The brokerage would give you a phone. The brokerage would give you a secretary and an assistant. This is going back, we're talking, 50, 60, 70 years. And then what happened in in the 80s, this guy named Gary Keller came out and he created the cap model, which was like revolutionary. It changed brokerages forever. And the agent's like, yeah, why am I giving up so much money to this traditional broker? It makes sense to cap it out. And Gary deserves a lot of credit, because he was the first one who said, brokerages need to be for the agent, and they need to build a personal brand. That's when everything went kind of haywire. All these teams started popping up, and agents for the first time ever started branding themselves, right, as the brand. The so-and-so team, the realtor. That was all a Keller Williams thing.
Cool.
Then Remax comes out with 100% concept. That changed everything. And so, am I under the belief that these traditional brokerage models that still have a franchise fee that never goes away and still charging these commission splits that don't cap out, are they in trouble per se? I don't know if they're in trouble. I think they need to evolve. And I have met with some of the CEOs, and I think some of them are finally starting to agree. For an agent to come here that is an established, successful business person, they're going to give me 42% of their commission forever and pay me $400,000 if they're going to make $1 million in GCI. I don't think so. What's your belief on that? Do you think that the place for an agent to do that makes any sense?
No, absolutely not. And this goes into a whole nother debate and opinion. So what I would say is what we've moved away from is what you described. And now where agents are going is the team, because they are getting the leads, they are getting the leverage to launch their business. So instead of what before was the brokerage, now is the team.
Great point.
And it makes sense to give up 50% to be on that team to launch and get the leads and the leverage and all those things to learn the business.
Great point. Because I think I missed that just a minute ago, is that there's actually two sides of it. There's one side of the agent who is self-sufficient, that has their license at a brokerage because it's the law and you have to, but they don't really need anything from the brokerage. That agent, I just don't see the world where they're going to give up 20, 30, 40% of their commission any longer. I think those are gone. That's one side. But the other side, to your point, is there is a case to be made for a 50-50 split where it actually makes a lot of sense for the agent because of how real estate started. And I say that all the time. It's like, if you come on my team and I set all your listing appointments for you, and I do all the customer service, I do all the paperwork, I do all the transaction coordination, all you have to do, Ben, is go on the appointment, onboard the client, right? Close the deal, so to speak, bring back a listing contract, and we take care of the rest. Yeah. And as a result, your net taxable income at the end of the year is more than what you are making by yourself. and we're on a 50-50 split, that's hard to argue too.
It is. And the problem with real estate is
Ego.
people are on it. You nailed it. Exactly. And that's my opinion. I just had a conversation with an agent. He's independent at a big brokerage and was like, I gotta get another job. And I said, to support this, because I really want to do this. And I said, hold on, let's think about this for a second. Why don't you just get a job in real estate? And I said, just hear me out. I said, treat the team like a job in real estate where you get to sell. Okay. So join this team. Know that you're losing a little bit of freedom, your schedule. You gotta adhere to listen to somebody. You have a boss. Okay. And just know the value exchange that you're getting. Your frustration is inconsistent income, inconsistent leads, right? Security for your family. So go learn the business, build the confidence for a period of time. And if you decide, hey, I'm comfortable here forever, making $200,000, stick there. Okay. But oftentimes, like you said, the ego gets in the way and they say, man, I just made 10 grand on this deal. I did all the work, right? And they're like, I'm going to go do this on my own because I want the 10 grand because this business is so transparent, right? You join another business, med device or something like that. You don't know the top line and the bottom line and what percentage you're getting in commissions. You just see hey, I made 250. I'm comfortable with that. What's your opinion
incredible.
on that?
That's incredible. Just so you know, that's going to be cut up into its own reel. Just so you know, all that. I mean, Ben, I've never heard that before in my entire career. I mean, that insight that I just took that as a note, is probably some of the best advice I've ever heard in my life.
Cool.
And why no one's ever thought of that before outside of you, I'm not sure. But that is incredible. You nailed it.
Yeah.
The solo agent who says, man, this is tough. I got to go get a job. Well, I mean, that's the no-brainer of the century.
Yeah.
Get the job inside the business you want to be in.
That's right.
And that's going on the team. And I'll tell you what, not only do I agree, but I think most of those people probably end up being happier on the team and probably don't end up leaving the team because it's like, holy crap, I'm making more money. I have less headaches. I have more balance with my family. I'm working less. I don't have to do all this stuff I don't like to do. I can just do client servicing things, sales activities. I don't have to worry about any admin stuff. This is pretty good, But to your point, that becomes the job because everybody's running away from that structure, that accountability, having the boss. Instead of going out of the industry to get the job in the industry, which is you're trying to be in full-time anyways. That is great insight.
And if you want to, what I told this guy, if you want to take the leads, but also continue to build your own brand, build your own lead source. So at some point you can transition out, right? When you want to be a business owner, because that's what an independent agent is a business owner.
Amazing. Great insights, Ben. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right.